Hi everyone, it's me. Number 10. Vampire bats are real. Vampire bats are small bats with a reputation for attacking sleeping humans or animals to drink their blood. They are often portrayed in fiction as blood-sucking monsters that can bring diseases and death to those they attack. But the truth is that vampire bats are just trying to survive. Despite their frightening name and appearance, these bats are actually quite shy and will only attack if they feel threatened. The name comes from their habit of feeding on the blood of mammals, including livestock and sometimes humans. One of the most well-known diseases associated with bats is rabies, a virus that attacks the central nervous system and can cause symptoms such as fever, headache, confusion, and paralysis. Rabies is transmitted through the saliva of infected bats and can be fatal if left untreated. In many cultures, bats are seen as symbols of death, darkness, and evil. This is likely due to their nocturnal habits and their association with vampires in folklore. These bats are known as insectivorous bats, and they typically feed on small vertebrates such as lizards, frogs, and even small mammals. One of the best examples of an insectivorous bat is the common vampire bat. This means that they rely less on their eyesight to find their way around and to hunt for food. However, this doesn't mean that bats are completely blind. One of the biggest threats to bats is habitat loss, which is caused by deforestation and the destruction of natural ecosystems. This makes it difficult for bats to find food and shelter, which can lead to starvation or exposure to predators. These colonies can range in size from a few dozen to thousands of individuals. Some species of bats are more social than others, such as the little brown bat, which typically lives in colonies of hundreds or even thousands of bats. On the other hand, species like the flying fox tend to be more solitary and only come together during mating season. Within a colony, bats will communicate with each other through a variety of vocalizations, such as squeaks and whistles. Bats can be found on every continent on Earth except Antarctica. They occupy a wide range of habitats, from tropical rainforests to deserts, and from mountainous regions to caves. The largest bat species is the flying fox, which has a wingspan of up to 6 feet and a weight of over 3 pounds. On the other hand, the smallest bat species is the bumblebee bat, which is about the size of a bumblebee and weighs less than a gram. This communication helps them to coordinate their activities, such as finding food or avoiding predators. Some bats also engage in social grooming, which helps to maintain their hygiene and strengthen their bonds with other members of their colony. Overall, despite their reputation as being solitary creatures of the night, many species of bats are social animals who live and interact with others of their kind. In addition, bats are often killed by people who fear them or who believe that they are a nuisance. This can occur through direct persecution or through the destruction of bat habitats. This is in reference to the structure of their wings, which are formed from the skin that stretches between their elongated fingers. Like all mammals, bats give birth to live young and nurse their offspring with milk. They also have fur and are warm-blooded, although their body temperature can vary depending on the species and ambient temperature. Additionally, bats are the only mammals capable of true flight, although some other mammals, such as flying squirrels and sugar gliders, can glide through the air. Climate change is also a major threat to bats, as it is causing changes in the timing of insect emergence, which can lead to starvation. Furthermore, bats are susceptible to a number of diseases, such as white nose syndrome, which can devastate entire populations. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, more than 20% of bat species are currently threatened with extinction. Most bats can see shapes and movements, but their vision is not as sharp as that of diurnal animals. For example, bats cannot see colors and have difficulty seeing small objects. This is because their eyes have evolved to be more sensitive to movement and changes in light intensity rather than to fine detail. Additionally, bats' eyes are adapted for seeing in low light conditions, which allows them to navigate and hunt in the dark. Overall, while bats do have functional eyes, their reliance on echolocation and nocturnal habits means that their eyesight is not as important to their survival as it is for many other animals. As mentioned earlier, this bat primarily feeds on the blood of mammals, which is a form of meat. Other bats that eat meat include the greater and lesser bulldog bats, which feed on lizards and frogs. These bats typically hunt at night, using echolocation to find their prey. Once they locate their target, they swoop down and snatch it in their claws. In some cultures, however, bats are seen as symbols of good luck and prosperity. For example, in Japan, bats are seen as symbols of happiness and longevity, and are often featured in traditional art and literature. Similarly, in some Native American cultures, bats are seen as symbols of wisdom and transformation. In medieval Europe, bats were often associated with witchcraft and the devil. This was likely due to their strange appearance and their ability to fly, which was seen as a sign of demonic possession. During the Salem witch trials, several women were accused of being witches and using bats to cast spells. Another disease that bats can carry is histoplasmosis, a fungal infection that affects the lungs. This can cause symptoms such as fever, chills, and a dry cough, but it can also lead to more serious complications if it spreads to other organs. In addition, bats can also carry other viruses and bacteria that can cause illness in humans, such as the Nipah virus, Ebola virus, and SARS-CoV-2. This can cause anemia and other health problems for their victims, but it's not usually fatal. There are 3 species of vampire bat: the common vampire bat, the hairy-legged vampire bat, and the white-winged vampire bat. All 3 are found in the Americas, with the common vampire bat having the widest distribution. The common vampire bat is the most widespread and can be found from southern United States to Argentina. They typically live in caves or hollow trees and feed on the blood of cattle, horses, pigs, and other livestock. These bats are also known to attack humans and have been responsible for a number of deaths in South America. The hairy-legged vampire bat is found in Central America and parts of South America and has a distinctive furry appearance. It gets its name from the dense hair on its legs, which is unique among bats. This bat prefers to feed on tree-dwelling animals such as sloths and monkeys. The white-winged vampire bat is the smallest of the 3 species and is found only in Mexico and parts of Central America. As its name suggests, this bat has white wings and a white throat. It typically feeds on hummingbirds and other small birds. Number 9. Bats use echolocation to find their way around. Echolocation is a biological sonar used by bats to navigate and find prey in the dark. It works by emitting a high-frequency sound wave that bounces back when it hits an object. This allows bats to build up a mental image of their surroundings and to detect objects in flight. For example, when a bat is flying, it emits a series of clicks and whistles that bounce off nearby trees and buildings. By listening to the echoes, the bat can determine the size, shape, and distance to these objects. This allows them to avoid obstacles while flying and also to find insects to eat. Some bats use echolocation to hunt insects during the day, while others rely on their eyesight to find food. However, all bats use echolocation to some degree to help them navigate and find their way around in the dark. Bats are the only mammals that can true echolocate, meaning that they can create an accurate 3-dimensional map of their environment using sound waves. Number 8. Bats can carry diseases. Bats can carry diseases that are harmful to both humans and animals. Number 7. Bats are often used in folklore and mythology. Bats have long been associated with a number of superstitions and myths. Number 6. Some bats eat meat. While most bats are insectivores, some species have adapted to eat meat. Number 5. Bats have poor eyesight. Bats have evolved to become nocturnal creatures with highly developed senses of hearing and echolocation. Number 4. Many species of bat are endangered. Many species of bat are currently endangered due to a variety of factors. Number point 3. Bats are social animals. Despite their nocturnal habits and often solitary nature, bats are social animals who often live in groups called colonies. Number 2. All bats are mammals. All bats belong to a group of mammals called Cheiroptera, which means hand wing. Number point 1. There are over 1,400 species of bat. There are over 1,400 species of bat worldwide, making them the second most diverse group of mammals after rodents. Thanks for watching. See you next time.